if you're looking at the pattern, this is motif 1 and this is motif 2, and then we also have these smaller motifs. These I think you need 30 of, and I can't remember the numbers on these, but I did the center in 2 different ways, so I'll show you both ways of doing the center, but the rest of it is all done the same way, which is not the way that's in the pattern, because I prefer it sort of look, I haven't tied in my ends, the same on the front and the back versus the way it does if you use the pattern. And even with the little one, again, I don't have that, the chains going all the way around on the back that stick out. So I'll show you the way that, it's sort of the way that the pattern has you do the center, but again, I changed that a little bit, and then there's a different way to do the center altogether, which is actually the way that I prefer. Let me get my yarn here. So we're gonna start with the whites, and I'm using worsted weight yarn and a I 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. So slip knot, and then we're just going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to slip stitch back into the beginning chain. Just kind of pull out the center so we can see that there, and then you're gonna chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is a double crochet plus a chain 1, and then we're gonna do double crochet, chain 1, so that we have a total of 8 in the center altogether. So this is 3, 4, 5, double crochet, chain 1, that's 6, double crochet, chain 1, that's 7, double crochet, chain 1, and just make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now we have all 8, and if we look at our 3 double crochet and the, or I mean 3 chains and then the chain 1, this is the top of our double crochet. We're gonna slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. Then we're just gonna pull up that loop and leave that there for now. We can tighten this, but let's get the red through first before we tighten that down. So I'm gonna start with the red. We're gonna go through the center again, and just gonna pull up a loop. And then on the back side, I'm actually gonna pull the tail through because we want the tail on the back side. So pull up a loop, and this kind of follows the pattern, but I do it a little bit different. So again, we're gonna chain 3, but the 3rd chain I'm gonna actually do around that white chain space, just so that we lock that down. And then we're gonna chain 1. And we're gonna go back into the center. And we're gonna double crochet. And on the second part of the double crochet, we're gonna finish it off again around that chain space so that that's locked down together. Chain 1, back through the center in between those 2 posts, double crochet, Again, on the second part of the double crochet, just capture that white chain space, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Oh, don't forget to pull in that white chain space, chain 1. And we're going to end up with 8 of these total all the way around too, but you can kind of see there should be one in between each one, so we should have 7 right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're going to do our last one in this last chain space here. So double crochet and chain 1, and then before we connect the red, we want to make sure that we pull that white forward. And then here where we started, we have our chain 3. So we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 space right here. And we're just going to pull up that loop, and we'll go back to our white at this point. So we can put that back on our hook, pull it down, and if you do the center that way, like I said, that actually connects those two instead of having them floating from each other. And at this point we can go ahead and pull on our tails. I just pulled the red a little bit to make sure that that's tight, and then we can tie this down so that our end of our red won't go anywhere. So now we want to untangle our yarn here and just pull the red to the front. So now we're going to go ahead and chain 3, which counts as, oh, actually no, before we do that, sorry, we want to go ahead and slip stitch into this white chain space over here. So, because that's where we're starting. So now we can go ahead and chain 3, and that counts as our first double crochet, and then we are going to go back into that same space, but this time around the red as well, and double crochet. And again, that kind of keeps everything locked down together. And actually, we don't want to finish off that double crochet. We did the first part, and instead of chaining over and pulling through the white, because we're switching to red now, so again, this is a big departure from the pattern, we're going to go ahead and place the white behind, and then grab our red and get that on our hook. And we're going to finish that double crochet with the red instead of the white. And so now we can yarn over and go ahead and double crochet into the space directly beside that post for the red double crochet. And the reason we're going beside is we want that spiral pattern. So we're always gonna, in this pattern, we're always gonna skip the first double crochet. And in this case, we only have 1 double crochet. And since we're increasing, we're gonna do 2 double crochets in each of these spaces all the way around. And in this case, again, we're gonna do the first half of the double crochet, and then we're going to hold onto the red and grab the white and pull up a loop. Now we can continue and double crochet. Again, we're going to go ahead and stop and just tighten that red down so that you don't see the yarn, the red back here bubbled up, and pull through the loop. We're going to go ahead and do 2 more double crochets in red. Stop. Grab our white and pull up the loop. And we're holding, whether it's the red or the white, in this case it's the red, we're holding that in and tucking it in as we go around. So 2 more double crochets in the white. So there's 1 and 2. And again, we're going to stop halfway through and pull up a loop in the red. And then I take that white and just place it right here so that I'm crocheting around that yarn as well. Just continue that all the way back around. And if you're not sure if you pulled enough, you can hold right here to make sure that you don't pull too much. And you can also just flip it over real quick and take a look to make sure that that yarn's not peeking through. And then pull up your second loop in the next color. And just continue that all the way around. Okay, so we're coming all the way back around, and again, we don't want to complete that second double crochet. Just hold your red yarn and grab your whites and go ahead and complete the double crochet in the white yarn, and then you're going to slip stitch into the top of this chain 3 right here, and you're going to hold on to that red yarn and trap it in there with that slip stitch. And then to continue the pattern, like I said, we always skip the first, so you're just going to slip stitch into the next, and this is where we would begin, chaining up 3, and that would be our first double crochet, and that's the repeat pattern. You're going to skip the first double crochet in the remaining, no matter how many there are, and then place 2 in the space between, and that's how we kind of get that spiral going around. So the first round we had 1 double crochet in each color. The second round we have 2 double crochet in each color. The third round we have 3 double crochet in each color. Then we're going to have 4, and then the final round we're going to have 5 double crochet in each color, and you're just going to continue on like that. And all of the larger motifs are exactly the same for those first 5 rounds. The only difference is going to be the last round, and the last round is going to be in the white color or color A, whatever colors you're using. And that is just going to finish the edging so that you can connect these motifs together. And then you'll do the smaller motifs to go in the space between as well. So I'll show you the other way to start it, and we'll go through all 5 rounds. Okay, so now we're going to start again, and we're still going to start with color A, which is the white color in my case, and we're just going to make a chain of 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you could do a magic ring, however you want to do it. I just like starting with the chain of 4 and then slip stitching to the first stitch and tuck that tail in. And here we're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And that again is our double crochet. And then for the part that is our chain 1, we're not going to complete this. We're going to complete it with our red, so or color B. I'm just going to grab that and pull up a loop. Tighten down that white a little bit. And I'm going to hold the red over here with the white so those two tails go together. Now we're going to go ahead and yarn over, and we're going to complete the first part of our double crochet, and then again, remember we're gonna, because this is 1 each in this round, so we're gonna hold on to our red and we're gonna pull up the loop in our white to complete that double crochet. And we're gonna go ahead and start our next double crochet in the white, and we're gonna complete that in red. We're going to go ahead and start our next one in red. And we're going to complete that double crochet in our white. And at this point, we have 2 white and 2 red. We're going to need 8 of each. And our final one. And again, we're going to go ahead and complete that with our white. And we're going to carry that up and slip stitch into the top of our beginning chain. Making sure to trap that red in there, and then we're going to slip stitch one more time just between the 2 posts. And then from here we're going to go ahead and chain up 3. That's our first double crochet, and since we slip stitch and skip the first double crochet, and we do 2 double crochet in the chains or in the space between the posts. So I'm going to go ahead and do our second one, but remember we're just going to complete the first half of it, and then we'll pull up the second loop in the red. We're going to go ahead and do that all the way around. Okay, and now we're all the way back around. And again, remember we want to finish that double crochet with our white. Hold on to our red, and then we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of that beginning chain 3. And we're going to slip stitch one more time over to the top of the second double crochet. At this point, I'm actually going to go ahead and tighten up my tails here, just to close up the center of that circle. So if you pull on the white one, that will close up that gap. And then you don't want to pull on the red one too much because that is the beginning stitch. So I'm just going to tie these for now to secure it. And there we go. So that is the second way to start this motif. And again, if you look at the 2 of these, this one is done this way, and this one was done the first way that I showed you. So honestly, it doesn't make that much of a difference. It's just kind of whatever you prefer, whatever's easier for you to do. On the back, it does look, again, I still have my strings here that I haven't taken care of yet, but on the back, the center does look a little bit different on both of them. So now we're just going to keep repeating this pattern. Tangled my yarns, hang on. Okay, so we went ahead and joined, we slip stitched over. So we're skipping that first double crochet. We're now in the space of the second double crochet, so we're just going to go ahead and chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. And that counts as our first double crochet, and then we're going to put 2 more double crochets into that space in between the 2 posts. So 1, 2. And again, that is our repeat pattern because we're increasing every round. So we always skip the first double crochet in the remaining double crochets, and then 2 into the space in between the 2 double crochets. And we're going to finish that off with a red loop. So again, we're going to go ahead and skip this first double crochet. We're going to double crochet into the next double crochet, and then we're going to put 2 double crochets into the space in between the 2 posts. And again, we don't want to finish off that double crochet. The last loop we want to pull up in the opposite color. So we're just going to continue on around like that. This is actually a really easy pattern because first round you have 1 double crochet in each color. Second round you have 2 double crochets in each color. Third round you have 3. Fourth round you have 4, and last round you have 5. So it's pretty easy to remember. So I'm just going to continue around and finish this round, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so I've come all the way back around. We've now got 3 double crochets in each color all the way around. I'm on my 3rd double crochet here. And again, I'm just going to complete that in my white. And then we will go ahead and slip stitch to the top of the first chain 3. And we'll go ahead and slip stitch over one more time because again, we always skip the first double crochet. So now we are on round 4, and we're going to go ahead and chain up 3, and that counts as our first double crochet. We're going to go ahead and double crochet into our next double crochet, and then we're going to place 2 double crochets in between the 2 posts of the white and the red. So we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets total, and we're on round 4. Go ahead and complete that using our red. And again, we're going to go ahead and skip. It kind of skips it for you because to get in that space, it's kind of covered because we went ahead and placed the 2 double crochets in that space between the 2 posts. So we're going to skip that first one, and we're going to double crochet in the next 2. And we're going to place 2 double crochets in the space between the 2 posts. 1 and 2. And then we don't want to complete that just yet. Go ahead and tug on our white and complete that. Again, we're going to skip that first one, go into the next one, and the next one. And then we're going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets into that space in between the 2 posts. So 1 and 2, and we don't want to complete that just yet because we want to pull up our red. And see, like in this case, you can see the red is peeking through, so we want to make sure that we give a nice tug on that to make sure that that string is not showing. And we're going to go ahead and grab the red and pull it through. skip the first double crochet in the next two, and then 2 double crochets into the space between the 2 posts. And on our final double crochet, we're not going to complete it. We're going to go ahead and give a tug on our white and pull up a loop in the white. Skip the first one, double crochet in the next 2, and then we want to place 2 double crochets in the space between the 2 posts. And we're just going to continue like that all the way around, and I will meet you back. Okay, so we're coming back all the way around at the end of round 4 now. I mostly completed my last double crochet in the red. I'm just going to need to pull up the white loop, so I want to make sure that that is pulled tight. Then we'll go ahead and pull up our white. And we're going to slip stitch again into the top of that beginning chain 3. And we're going to slip stitch over one more time. And then we're going to go ahead and chain 3. And again, that counts as our first double crochet. And then we've got 2 more white double crochets. So we're going to go ahead and complete 2 more double crochets into each of those stitches. And then we're going to place 2 double crochets in between the white and the red posts. So 1 and 2. We're only going to complete half of that first stitch, and again we want to look back and make sure that we tighten up that red string. So that it's not really sticking through so much anymore. And once we've done that, we can go ahead and complete our double crochet pulling through the red. And again, we're going to go ahead and skip this first double crochet. We're going to double crochet into the next 3 and then place 2 in the space between the white and the red. So we're going to have a total of 5 double crochets in each color all the way around this time. So 1, 2, 3, and then again in that space between the 2 posts, 4 and 5. I'm going to complete that halfway. Give a tug on our white here. Make sure that doesn't pop through. And then we'll go ahead and complete that stitch using the white. So we're going to go ahead and continue that all the way around, and I crochet a little tight so it curls up a little bit, but we're just going to continue that all the way around. And that is the repeat pattern for the beginning of all of the large motifs. The only difference is going to be the 6th row and how they're going to join together. So go ahead and complete, you can complete all of your large motifs, just the first 5 rows, if that's easier for you, or you can go ahead and continue on and do the 6th round, which I'll show you how to do given the way that I've modified the pattern, because we're not going to be going around the chain spaces as it's written. Okay, so now we're all the way back around. We're just finishing up round 5, and we have 5 double crochets in each color all the way around. So we're going to go ahead and complete our final double crochet pulling through the white. And then we're going to go ahead again and slip stitch into the top of our beginning chain 3, maybe. Hold on to the red. We're actually done with the red at this point, but I like to just crochet over it for a little bit so that that end is tied in. So we can go ahead and cut that off. Get rid of the red for now. So for round 6, again, we're going to make different motifs. There's 6 different of these larger motifs, and the edging row is going to be different for each of these. So we're going to have 42 of these total, with rounds 1 through 5 being the same. Then we're going to have 10 with edging 1, 10 with edging 2, 9 with edging 3, 9 with edging 4, 2 with edging 5, and 2 with edging 6. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to complete the edging for each of these motifs. So this is edging 1, and again we're going to go ahead and do 10 of these. So we slip stitched into the top of that chain 3. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch over one more, because if you remember, we always skip that first double crochet. So in the next one, once we're in that one, we can go ahead and chain up 3, and then we're going to go into the next double crochet and complete a double crochet. And now we're going to start our corner in this next double crochet. So in this one, we're going to go ahead and double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet. Oops. Just tucking that tail in as we go. So now we've completed 3 double crochets, chain 3, double crochet all back into that same stitch, and then we're going to complete the double crochet into the next double crochet, and we're going to complete a double crochet into that space again. So this part of the pattern is pretty much the same, or this part of what I'm showing you is pretty much the same as what you see in the written pattern from Yarn Inspirations Red Heart for the Peppermint Throw. The main difference is going to be because they have those chain spaces, we're not going to be following that part of the pattern. So we did our, basically we have 3 double crochets, a chain 3, and 3 double crochets. And so then in here, we're going to go ahead and skip that first red double crochet, and we're going to double crochet into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in the written pattern, it will tell you to make those 4 double crochets around a chain 5 space and working behind these stitches, but we're just going to complete those right along the top. So once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and skip this first white double crochet again, and then we're going to go ahead and double crochet 2 into each of the next 2 stitches, And then in the third stitch, we're going to complete our corner again. So double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet. And once we have completed our corner, we're going to double crochet into the final white double crochet, and then we're going to go ahead and double crochet right in between that space again. So for every white section, we skip the first one. It's 2 double crochet, corner, 2 double crochet. And then we have 4 red double crochets, so we go ahead and complete 1 double crochet into each of those 4 spaces, and we're just going to continue this all the way around. I might not be explaining that in the best way. I might have made that a little bit more confusing than it has to be. Doing it in this case. So you're just going to continue that all the way around, and when you come all the way back around, you're just going to slip stitch into the beginning chain 3 and tie off, and that will complete the first motif edging. So that's edging number 1 for motif, and let me see which one of these is, this is number 2. So this is how it will look once you've completed edging number 1 all the way around. So with edging number 1, your corners are going to line up with color A, or the white color in my case. So your edging color is going to line up with that color in your spiral. And motif B is honestly the exact same thing, or I mean motif 2 is the exact same thing, except you put the corners in the middle of the red stripes. So I will show you how to do that one. Okay, so for motif 2, we've just slip stitched, we've come around with round 5, and we've just slip stitched into the top of our beginning chain 3 in the white color. We've cut off our red, so now we're going to go ahead and slip stitch over one more. So we always skip that first one, and then we're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and that is our first double crochet, and we're going to place 3 more double crochets into each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3, and we have a total now of 4 double crochets. So again, we're going to skip this first one in the red section, and we're going to go into the next double crochet, and we're going to double crochet, and the next one we're going to go ahead and double crochet, and then we're going to go ahead and make our corner. So that is double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet. And then we're gonna double crochet in the next double crochet, and then we're gonna double crochet into that space in between the 2 posts. So we have our 4 double crochets, 2 double crochets, corner, which is double crochet, chain 3, double crochet all into the same stitch, and then 2 more double crochets. So now we're going to skip that first white one, and we're going to place 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4 into each of the next 4 white double crochets, and then we're gonna skip the first red one. We're gonna double crochet into the next 2 red double crochets. Then we're gonna complete our corner, which is double crochet, chain 3, double crochet, and we're gonna go ahead and do 2 more double crochets in the next stitch, and then in the space between the 2 stitches. We're just going to keep repeating that all the way back around. When you finish, because we're finishing on a red side, that's where we have our corner. So you're going to skip the first stitch again, 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and then a corner. So that's going to be double crochet, chain 3, double crochet, and then you're going to double crochet in the final stitch, and then you're going to double crochet in between these last 2, in between the red and the white, and then join to the top here. So you're just going to continue that all the way back around. Okay, so once you've completed that all the way back around, go ahead and just tie off. You can go ahead and sew on the strings now if you'd like, or the tails, or just leave it, and when you sew it together you can cover it up then, and that's probably what I'm gonna do. So again, we have motif 1 and motif 2, and these are completed the exact same way, except for in motif 1 your edging color and your stripe color here, the edges line up with the stripe color. In edging 2, your edging color is solid across that stripe color, and the corners are in the opposite color. So that's the main difference. And the reason that it's done this way is so that when you put these 2 up next to each other to connect them, they're not all facing the same way. So like if I were to flip this over to the wrong side, well, even then it's not. But if you had these 2 next to each other, or these 2 next to each other, then all of your peppermint patterns would be going the same way. This way they kind of go the opposite way, and it makes it a little bit more visually interesting. So that's the reason that there's these 2 different patterns here for the edging. So again, you're going to make a total of 42 of rounds 1 through 5. Then out of those 42, 10 of them are going to have edging 1, and 10 of them are going to have edging 2. So you're going to complete 10 like this and 10 like this. Next, we're going to move on to edging 3, and with edging 3, you're going to complete 9 with edging 3. So I'll show you that one next. Okay, so this is motif 3 here. I've already completed the final row, the edging row, but I just kind of wanted to explain it before we got into going through this. So for this one, this part is very similar to what we did for the first motif, but this part, as you see, there's no corners. So this part is going to actually be the edge of the afghan. So that's why this part is open. So it's only going to join on these sides here to other motifs. So this part, these 4 corners here, this section is exactly what we did for the first motif. We start it and we end it a little bit different, and in between here with the straight edge is a little bit different. But this is basically the way we did motif 1. Slip stitch to attach to my first chain 3 here. So we're going to slip stitch over one more time because we want to skip that first double crochet. And then we're going to go ahead and chain 3, and that chain 3 will count as our first double crochet. and then in the next stitch we're going to place 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So this is where it's a little bit different. So we're going to do 1 and 2. And the next one, we're going to go ahead and do our corner, but in this case our corner is 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 double crochet. And then in our next stitch we're going to go ahead and double crochet, and then we're going to go ahead and double crochet into that gapping space in between the posts of the white and the red double crochets. So now this is the part where it's going to be like motif 1. So we're going to go ahead and skip that first red double crochet. We're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 of the red double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to go ahead and skip that first one. We're going to double crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and then we're going to place a regular corner. So we're going to double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet into the next, or into the same stitch, and then we're going to place 2 more double crochets, so 1 in the last white double crochet and 1 in the gapping space between the red and white posts. So the pattern will tell you to repeat that, and you're going to repeat that 4 times. So we're going to end up with 4 of these regular corners. So we're going to go ahead and skip that first red double crochet and double crochet into each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to go ahead and skip that first white double crochet into the next double crochet into the next, and then we're going to do a corner. So that's double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet into the final white double crochet and double crochet into that gapping space. So we're going to go ahead and skip the first one, double crochet into each of the next 4 red double crochets, and then we're going to skip the first white one, double crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and then we're going to do a corner. So that's double crochet, chain 3, double crochet back into that same stitch, and we're going to double crochet into the last white double crochet, and we're going to do a double crochet into the gapping space between the white and red posts. So now we have 1, 2, 3 corners and our beginning corner, which doesn't count as part of the repeat 4 times. So we're going to go ahead and double crochet into the next 4 red double crochets, we're going to skip that first one, double crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and then we're going to go ahead and do our corner, which is double crochet, chain 3, double crochet all into that same space, double crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to double crochet in that gapping space between the white and the red post. So at this point, if you look, we have that first corner, which doesn't really count as one of our normal corners. It's done a little bit differently. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of our regular corners. So we're going to go ahead and complete this by doing 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 red double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now, okay, so we started with the little bit of an off pattern. Then we followed our normal pattern like we did for motif 1, and we did that 4 times. So we have 4 regular corners now. We're not counting this one over here. So we completed that 4th corner, then we went ahead and did 4 double crochets into the next 4 red double crochets. So this next one here, we're still gonna skip that first one. We're gonna go into the next stitch and double crochet. The next one, we're gonna go into that one and double crochet. And now where we normally do our corner, we're gonna go in with our double crochet, but this time it's only gonna be a chain 2 and double crochet again back into that same stitch. And then we're gonna complete that with our double crochet in the last white double crochet, and then we're gonna do 2 double crochets into this gapping space instead of 1 like we normally do. So these 2 corners are kind of mirror opposite of each other. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the corner, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the corner. So, and then we've got 4 regular corners in between. So now for this part, it's again going to be a little bit different than what we normally do on these ones in between the corners here. So we're going to go ahead and skip that first one like we always do, and we're going to do our 4 double crochets into each of the next 4 red double crochets. And then once we complete those 4 double crochets, instead of skipping over to the white like we normally would, we're going to go ahead and put 2 more double crochets into that gapping space between the white and the red post. And we're going to do the same thing the rest of the way around. So we're going to go ahead and skip that first double crochet, go into the next one, 2, 3, and 4. And then again, we're going to go ahead and put 2 more double crochets into that gapping space after we completed those 4 double crochets in the remaining stitches. So we've got those 4 double crochets in each of the 4 from the previous row, and then we put 2 more in that gapping space. So we're just going to continue that all the way around until we get back to where we started. Okay, and now we're coming all the way back around, and we've done the 4 double crochets into each of those 4 red double crochets, and we don't want to forget that last gapping space. We're still going to go ahead and put 2 double crochets into that last gapping space between the red and white post, and then we'll go ahead and slip stitch to our beginning chain 3, which counted as our first double crochet. And then what I like to do to finish this off, I don't like to just, I could clip that and just pull it through and tie the knot there on the front, but to make it look a little bit nicer, I put my hook into the next stitch and I grab that loop. And when I put the hook into the next stitch, I did it from the back side. And then I pull that loop through, and then I flip it over to the back side, and I go ahead and tie that off, and I would clip the yarn and go ahead and tie that. But then once you tighten that down, you can't even see where you slip stitched into it. And then your tail is also on the back when you do that instead of in the front. So it makes it easier to hide in your tails if you're joining multiple things or whatever you're doing for your next part of the project. In this case, I'm going to be joining multiple motifs together, so that makes it easier. You won't see the tail on the front side of the work. But so this is motif number 3, and you're going to make 9 of these. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but when you're starting these, if you had done all of your large motifs first, just rows 1 to 5, and then you wanted to do all of the edging at the same time, you can just rejoin for like motifs 1 and 3, or rejoining on the white or on color A, same as your edging color. So you can just rejoin in the second double crochet in that section. So you join right here because that's where we always start. Again, you can either slip stitch into the second, and you can do it on any one of these. So you wouldn't do it in this one, you would do it in this one here. You can slip stitch into there. If you already have all of your centers made, if you're attached, just slip stitch over one because you're going to be on this double crochet right here, and we need to be working inside of this one. So once you slip stitch over, go ahead and chain up 3, and that counts as our first double crochet. Then we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet in each of the 3 remaining white double crochets for 4 total double crochets in this section. And 4. And so if you have your tail, don't forget to just kind of hide that as you go along. And then we're going to put 2 double crochets into this gapping space in between the white and red posts. So 1 and 2. Okay, so now the next section, this is our weird corner, not one of our regular corners. We're going to skip that first one again, go into the second one in the red section, 1 double crochet, and the next one we're going to go ahead and put in 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, and the next space we're going to put in our corner. So it's going to be 1 double crochet, only a chain of 2 this time, and 1 more double crochet all back into that same stitch. Now we're going to continue on. We're going to put 1 more double crochet into that final red double crochet, and then we're going to put another double crochet into the gapping space between the white and red post. So that completes our first little section that is a little bit unique compared to how we normally do it. So we're going to go ahead and continue on. We skipped that first one. We're going to put 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're back to what we did in motif number 1 and the way we were doing it in motif number 3 and 2, I guess, as well. So we're just doing the 4 double crochets in that white section. Then we're going to skip over to the red section, skip that first one. We're going to go into the second one and double crochet. The next one, double crochet. The third one, we're going to go ahead and do our normal corner. So this is a double crochet, chain 3, and another double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet in that final one, and we're going to double crochet into that gapping space between the red and white post. So this is our standard corner that we've been doing throughout all of these motifs. So we had standard here, and we need 4 of these regular corners. So we're going to repeat that around, just 4 double crochets into the next section. Then in the red section, we're going to skip the first one like always, double crochet, corner, double crochet, and then double crochet into the gap. And we're just going to continue that around until we have 4 of these regular corners. Okay, so I have repeated that. I've got my first side with my chain 2 corner, the little weird corner, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more corners. So after I completed that corner section in the red section there, I went ahead and moved on and just did my 4 double crochets into the white section. So once you've gotten all of that done, now we're going to do this other weird little corner over here again. So we're going to skip that first one like we always do, and we're going to go ahead and put in our single crochet, or I mean double crochet, and then in the corner, instead of doing a chain 3, we're going to do a chain 2. So we're going to double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet all back into that same stitch. Now we're going to go ahead and do another double crochet into that last red double crochet, and then in this gapping space here between the red and white post, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2. So that completes the part of the pattern with all of the corners. So this part is going to be a smooth edge just like it was in motif number 3, because that is going to be the sides of the Afghan. So here we're going to go ahead and we're going to skip that first one like we always do. We're going to put in our 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to go ahead and put 2 double crochets into that gapping space again. So that is our white section done. Now we're going to skip that first red one like we always do. Go ahead and put in our 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, whoops, 3, 4, and then we're going to put 2 into that final gapping space there. And we're just going to continue that all the way around until we get back here to the beginning part of our motif, or our edging on our motif. And again, in this last section here, remember you're going to do your 4 double crochets, and then you're going to put 2 more into that final gapping space before you join. So that is it for motif number 4. And again, you're going to have 9 of these. So you have 10 of motif 1, 10 of motif 2, 9 of motif 3, and 9 of motif 4. Okay, so for motif number 5, I just wanted to give you a visual of what it looks like, and then we'll go through it together. But for motif number 5, we're going to start exactly the same way as we started in motif number 3. And then instead of doing 4 of our regular corners, we're only going to do 2 of our regular corners. And then we're going to do the same that we did over here with our chain 2 corner instead of our chain 3 corner. So we're going to have 2 chain 2 corners, 2 chain 2 chain 3 corners, and then the rest of this is going to be flat all the way around. And you're only going to need to make 2 of these, and the main reason we only need 2 of these is these are our actual corners of the Afghan. So I can't remember if 5 goes on the right side or the left side of the Afghan, but it's the 2 corners on one side of the Afghan, and then 6 is the 2 corners on the other side of the Afghan. And so with motif 5, you have the 2 chain 2 corners, and then you're going to have 2 chain 3 corners. And then the rest is going to be flat all the way around. And it's the same with motif 6, except we start that one the same way we started on motif 4, because we're moving our corners into the red spaces versus into the white spaces. So all that being said, we start here in our second double crochet in the white section. Go ahead and chain 3, and that chain 3 will count as our first double crochet. And then in the next stitch, we're going to place 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So this is where it's a little bit different. So we're going to do 1 and 2. And the next one, we're going to go ahead and do our corner, but in this case, our corner is 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 double crochet. And then in our next stitch, we're going to go ahead and double crochet. And then we're going to go ahead and double crochet into that gapping space in between the posts of the white and the red double crochets. So now this is the part where it's going to be like motif 1. So we're going to go ahead and skip that first red double crochet. We're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 of the red double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to go ahead and skip that first one. We're going to double crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and then we're going to place a regular corner. So we're going to double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet into the next, or into the same stitch. And then we're going to place 2 more double crochets, so 1 in the last white double crochet and 1 in the gapping space between the red and white posts. So the pattern will tell you to repeat that, and you're going to repeat that 4 times. So we're going to end up with 4 of these regular corners. So we're going to go ahead and skip that first red double crochet and double crochet into each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to go ahead and skip that first white double crochet into the next double crochet into the next, and then we're going to do a corner. So that's double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet into the final white double crochet and double crochet into that gapping space. So we're going to go ahead and skip the first one, double crochet into each of the next 4 red double crochets, and we will complete this chain 2 corner over here. So in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and skip that first one like we always do, double crochet, double crochet, and then for our corner, we're going to go ahead and do double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, then we'll put a double crochet in the final double crochet, and in this gapping space, instead of 1 double crochet, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So now we've completed all of our corners. We've done our 2 chain 2 corners, and we've done our 2 chain 3 corners. So now all we have left to do all the way around this edge is go ahead and skip the first one like always, 4 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to put 2 in that gapping space. 1, 2. We're going to do the same thing in each of the remaining sections. So the next white section, skip that first one, 4 double crochets in the next 4 stitches. So 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets into that gapping space. So you'll just continue that all the way around. On your final section, you're going to do your 4 double crochets. Don't forget your 2 double crochets into that gapping space, and then go ahead and join, and then you can tie off. And you only need 2 total of these because these are your 2 corners. Okay, so for our last motif, again, you only need 2 of these for motif number 6. I'll just go back actually, instead of explaining it to you with it already done. We're gonna go ahead and either join into the second one in on the white section, or slip stitch over and chain up 3, and that's gonna count as our first double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet into each of the white double crochets for a total of 4. 3 and 4. So we have that chain 3 that counts as 1, and then 3 more double crochets. And then we're gonna put 2 double crochets into that gapping space between the white and the red post. And then on the next section here, we're gonna do our little chain 2 corner. So we're gonna skip that first red double crochet in the next. Then we're gonna put in 2 double crochets in the next double crochet, both in the same space. So 1 and 2. And in the next double crochet, we're going to go ahead and do our corner. So it's going to be double crochet, chain 2, remember this time, and double crochet. And we're going to complete the last red double crochet by putting in another double crochet. And we're going to put in 1 more double crochet into that gapping space between the red and the white post. So we've done our first little side and chain 2 corner. We're going to continue along the way we normally do. So we're going to put in 4 double crochets into the white section. Then we're going to do our regular corner with our 3 chain 3 corner in the red section. And we're going to end up with 2 more chain 3 corners. So we're going to do double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches, and then we're going to skip the first red double crochet, and we're going to go into that second stitch. We're going to double crochet into that stitch and the next stitch, and then the third stitch we're going to do our corner. So that's double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet. Then we're going to go ahead and double crochet in the last red stitch, and then we're going to double crochet into that gapping space between the last red post and the first white post. And we're going to do 4 double crochets along the top of that white section. 3 and 4. And then we're gonna, oops, I almost didn't skip it. We're gonna make sure we skip that first double crochet, go into the second one, double crochet, the next one double crochet, the third one we're going to do our corner, which is double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet all back into that same space. And then we're going to double crochet into that final stitch, and we're going to double crochet into that gapping space. So now we have our first chain 2 corner, and we have 2 of our regular chain 3 corners. So we're going to go ahead and double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. And we're going to go ahead and skip that first stitch like we always do, double crochet into the next stitch. Here we're going to go ahead and double crochet into the next stitch. Here we're going to do our corner, which is double crochet, chain 2, and then double crochet all into the same stitch. Then we're going to double crochet into the last stitch, and we're going to do 2 double crochets into that final gapping space. So if you look for these first sections, we have on this side 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, chain 2, and then 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and that's what we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, chain 2, 1, 2, 3 double crochets. So now we're done with that section, and we're going to go ahead and do 4 more double crochets. And we're going to put 2 double crochets into that gapping space, 1 and 2. And we're going to continue that all the way around. 4 double crochets into each of the little spirals and 2 into each gapping space, all the way around till you get back, and then you can slip stitch and fasten off. And we only need 2 of these motifs again because these are the corners on the other side. So 2 of motif number 6. And then we are done with all of our motifs. Okay, so for the small motifs, we're gonna start the exact same way. Round 1 is identical to that of the large motifs. So if you need a refresher on how to do round 1 on the large motifs, I showed you 2 different ways to do it. So go back and watch that part of the video. And again, it doesn't matter if you want to do it the way I did it here, which is alternating between double crochets in each color, or if you want to do it by doing all of the white double crochet chain 1 and then all of the red double crochet chain 1s. It looks the same when you get done, so it really doesn't matter. But here I went ahead and did a double crochet in each color. And we have 8 white double crochets and 8 red double crochets all the way around. So once you join up, you're going to slip stitch over into, you can tie off your red, and then you're going to slip stitch over into the space in between the white post and the red post. And then once you slip stitch over, we're going to go ahead and chain up 3, and that's going to count as our first double crochet. And we're going to go ahead and do another double crochet back in that same space, and then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to go to the left again of the next white. We're only going towards to the left of each white double crochet from the first row. So we're going to go ahead and put in 2 more double crochets and chain 2. And again, we're going to go to the left of the next white post and put in 2 double crochets and chain 2. Left of the next white post, 2 double crochets and chain 2. Next one, oops, went kind of through the red stitch instead of between the stitches. 2 double crochets and chain 2. Next one again to the left of that white post, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 2, two double crochet, and chain 2. And if you want to make sure you didn't miss any, you should have 8 of these little spoke clusters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We did our chain 2. So now we can go ahead and join to the top of this chain 3. That counts as our first double crochet, and we'll go ahead and slip stitch there. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet into that same space again. So we have 2 double crochets, then we're going to chain 3, and we're going to do 2 more double crochets into the next space, 1 and 2, and that counts as our first corner. So the next space we're going to actually do 2 half double crochets, and we're doing the half double crochets into that chain space, not into any stitches. So we're going to do half double crochet, both into that chain space. The next 2 stitches we're going to do a single crochet into each of these stitches, so it's a total of 2 single crochets. And then in the next chain space we're going to do 2 half double crochets, so half double crochet, half double crochet. And the next double crochet we're going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets into the same space, double crochet, and we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do 2 double crochets into the next double crochet, so 1 and 2, both into that same stitch, and that is our second corner. Then on the next chain 2 space we're going to put in 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2. The next 2 double crochets we're going to put in a single crochet into each one of those stitches, so a total of 2 single crochets. The next chain 2 space we're going to do 2 half double crochets, so 1 and 2. The next double crochet we're going to go ahead and put 2 double crochets into that same stitch. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2 double crochets into the next double crochet, so 1 and 2 into that same stitch. Now the next chain 2 space we're going to do 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2. The next double crochet we're going to do a single crochet, next double crochet, single crochet. Next chain 2 space we're going to do 2 half double crochets, so 1 and 2. And now we're coming up to our final corner, so this next double crochet we're going to put 2 double crochets in that same stitch, so 1 and 2, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2 more double crochets into the next double crochet, 1 and 2, both into that same stitch. The next chain 2 space we're going to do 2 half double crochets into that space. The next stitch we're going to do a single crochet. The next stitch we're going to do a single crochet. In this last chain 2 space we're going to do 2 half double crochets, so 1 and 2. And then we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of our chain 3 that we started the round with. And once we slip stitch there, again, I like to go from the back to the front into the next stitch and pull through my loop. You don't have to do this part, and then I fasten off that way. And I just think it looks cleaner and you can't really see the join as much, but you do it however you want to. So now we have our completed small motifs, and you need 30 of these. And then once you have all of your motifs completed, you can sew them together any way you like. I can show you how to do the invisible join. That's how I'm going to join them together. But you can really sew them together any way you like. The diagram below, even if you're not following along with the pattern, because the way I changed it, the diagram is still the correct diagram for how to put your motifs together. So how you would put, like, what order you would put these in, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So refer to that diagram from Yarn Inspirations for the Peppermint Throw, and the numbers. Again, this is motif number 1, this one is motif number 2, this is the small motif, but it will show you where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all go, and the small motifs, and then you just sew them all together.